think I got a bit distracted there, but it's never a bad thing. So yeah, welcome to this demo video for the new Control Plus. It's a 4 HP touch control module. See the RGB LEDs reacting there. It's kind of me carrying on with this idea of making a touch controller for your rack. My first one was this passive touch controller. And yeah, the module, well, I mean, it was pretty simple. It just connected to cables via your finger. Every other one of these strips was connected to each of these, and then when you pressed it, it would connect them up. And then, yeah, depending on the surface area, you'd get larger, kind of more signal passed. This new 4 HP Control Plus is something completely different. This is all based on capacitive touch, so effectively you're kind of being used as a component in the circuit, you know, just like this one, but instead this time you're a capacitor. And what it's effectively doing is kind of, as you touch the panel, you are changing its capacitance, and then it will compare that to an internal known, all set by these trimmers, but I'll talk about that later, and give you a proportional control voltage out. So just to show you that, I mean, really simply, let's use one of these plugged into the pitch. Now, I wouldn't normally, I'll be honest, use one of these control modules for pitch. There's much better kind of modules out there for doing that. Maybe using a quantizer with it would give you a bit more control. But, you know, the range when we touch it... Give me a second. I'll have to work this. We're trying to work this out. That's bizarre. Oh, I know what it is. It's this strike. Let's try that. So you can hear it there changing the pitch. This Elements module, it takes some learning, to be honest, and I'm not pretending I fully understand it yet. But it's like a physical modelling synth. You know, you've got a exciter and then a model of something that resonates. So you can kind of strike it in different ways, and then the material that's resonating can be changed with all this. And I thought it'd be really interesting to add some more controls. You know, I really want to be able to play my modular. You might have seen, you know, at the beginning of that video, I mean, I got no idea. I'm not consciously thinking, oh, I'm going to play this note or that. But over time, what I found was just like, you know, when I sit down at piano, you know, I've got no idea of chord structures really, but through trial and error and something which a friend of mine talks about a lot, muscle memory, you know, you start to be able to play expressively. Now this setup at the moment's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying using ears, or you can use a 2 HP contact as well, one of my modules, to excite this membrane. And then I thought, let's change some of these parameters with, if we turn the geometry down, there you go. Now these first, I think 8 are prototype ones. So the range on them is 0 to 5 volt, not as great. Now the one that I'm happy with and that I've finished with is this one that's got more range. God, these sounds are absolutely bizarre, but anyway, I'm going to keep going with it. And so, getting back to where I was, yeah, how does this work? It gives out a CV which is proportional to pressure. But as well as that, I've kind of graduated the control. You know, some of the modules, touch modules, will have equal response all over the whole panel. This one, in fact, let's see if I can just patch this up in a way where we can hear it a bit better. I'm going to use my expander for this, expander for the lo-fi tape sampler. So the new expander gives you some gates out depending on what mode you're in. So we're going to just whack it into record. At the moment, all the audio is actually going through the tape sampler, which is kind of cool. And we're going to use that gate, you can see it's high now when we're recording, to just constantly play this. Ah, that's better. There we go. Starting to make more sense now. Now, whatever's going in is actually being recorded, which is kind of sick. But I'm not going to get to... it's so hard to keep on one path with modular. My mind's very associative, so it will just jump around a lot. Okay, so where were we? CVs. Yep. Proportional to touch. And... yeah, the graduated panel. So the panel, instead of being uniform, like on maybe a make noise, yeah, I've graduated. So you actually get different responses. So you're hearing at the top here, more response, down the bottom less, and then in the middle somewhere between we can actually just move our finger. If we keep the same amount of kind of contact, surface area, pressure. So you can hear why I don't use it for pitch. We could chuck that into a quantizer. And I've got some other pretty crazy stuff in the system at the moment. Anyone who wants to know what this is, it was my first prototype along with the tape sampler, and I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, how that kind of works. I mean, we're using this for pitch at the moment, but in this patch I was kind of imagining using this new touch controller. Now this thing's absolutely bizarre. What it's doing is summing gates to make like stepped LFO patterns. Again, this is an idea, just like the tape sampler. It was based on something Peter Edwards of Casper Electronics kind of shared. So yeah, I take no claim to the original idea, but one day I might get back around to this. Okay, so what were we doing? Cool, just layering that up. Okay, and then let's have it on the play this time. So we were using this gate from here to play, but the other thing that I've added to the module is a gate output. So on all of them, if you see on these bottom pads, see the RGB is now going red. Oh, that's something I should have said. So the green on the RGB corresponds to the pressure CV out. And we're using just the pressure CV there to play it, but we could also use the gate. Now at the moment this quantization's just free. I think there's a way. It's been years since I've used some of these modules, but let's try that. I think, hopefully, now it's going to, we'll use the gate of this one, and we're going to play again. Quantize, get something out. We can hear now we're touching it, nothing's happening. But if I now use this one, see it's jumping through these. Let's chuck it into record. There we go. So yeah, as well as the CV out, you've also got gate out, and then just as a third little funky addition to it, I thought it'd be interesting to, inspired by Tom Whitwell's Control. The name of the module, that's just a coincidence. yeah, almost sounds like I'm overcompensating there. But yeah, control originally was just a name, CTRL. I quite like abbreviations, but it's just coincidental. Tom used a differential circuit, kind of like he called it, I think, like a change circuit, which measured the difference between two voltages, gave you the difference, and by changing the way it kind of charged and discharged a capacitor, you could get kind of slewy, envelopey modulation out of that. So I'm not sure if that's a great way of explaining it, but oh well, this might show you. So instead of having our CV out, all we're taking from this one at the end, instead of having our CV, to change it, this will be change the direction. We could use this velocity, which is proportional to how hard or how quickly we use the touch controller. So if I touch it different places, I'm going to get different kind of, and then if I hit it really hard, like change the hardness, yeah, you get more momentary yeah, that's the word, momentary modulation. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, I think that kind of covers it. I don't really want to go too mad with this tutorial, this demo, because as you can see, I'm getting quite distracted at the moment, just trying to explain something that's really quite simple. It's a touch controller. You got CV out, gate out, and velocity out. Something I would like to mention about it is, this is pure analog. There's no digital, there's digital logic in it, but I mean, in terms of what, like there's no CPUs or microcontrollers. It's square waves being processed, with analog chips. So I've added a little trimmer to the panel, just so you can remove any offset that's created by adjacent modules. And this is, as I say, it's not really meant for pitch stuff, but just to ensure that you can always make 0, 0, there's a little trimmer here. I won't go into that now, but I think I'm going to do a separate video on that and how you can calibrate this. Now, I've gone to loads of effort with this. It was always kind of my idea to have, more controls, and maybe I do a, kind of named a bit like Clockwork Orange, control double plus good or something like that. I don't know. But all of these trimmers are pretty useful in themselves. And I've gone to a lot of effort to make it possible so the trimmers are all in the center for what I wanted them to be set at. It's kind of weird. They're trimmers, but they're all in the middle, and they all affect, every single one of them kind of affects the way the outputs work. So, you've got one at the bottom that changes the clock. Oh God, no, I'm getting way too involved. All I'm trying to say is, yeah, you can adjust these and this one if you want to, but what's really nice about what I've done is that you can always return them to the center if you get a bit lost, in trying different things. And the things you can try are clock rate, the balance between that clock and the panel, the clock that's applied to the panel, the gain, for the difference between those two. So, your CV out. So these are set to 0 to 6 volts, but you could change it to 0 to 10 or 0 to 5, depending on your kind of preference. I thought 0 to 6 is kind of good because you can always ensure it's going to go over 5 volts, for normal control voltage stuff. But for modules that can be overdriven, you've got that little bit of range. And it kind of feels like aftertouch, you've really got to press down hard. Well, that'll depend on your fingers as well. I mean, if you've got bigger fingers than me, you might find that you want to make some little adjustments and just try it, for you. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. But this is something that I think is going to feature a lot more in my demo systems. Ultimately, I want to be able to play my modular expressively, and while sequencing is great, sometimes it can lack that human touch or the moment. We all know, you know, about, you've only got to listen to higher states of consciousness and the way that the filters and the resonance is being tweaked on that. That is not something you could automate. That is something you feel. And in just the same kind of way, I want to be able to play with tape loops, you know, use the, I mean, these are great for VCAs. For example, if we send our output that we were listening to through a VCA, I'm just going to send the output of that tape into this one here, and then we can hopefully use this here. We'll get the tape going. Of course, we can't hear it. That's that little bit of offset I was talking about. You know, you would adjust that out, but and so we can use it like a VCA to open and close. Use it as modulation to open and close that VCA. Then we could use another one. There's some. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've got no effects and big bangs in this patch at the moment, but I hope that's kind of interesting for everyone. I'll make a video on those trimmers later and show you how you could adjust that. It varies from case to case, you see. Your plus minus 12 rails are never exactly the same in every system, and so this little trimmer will just allow you to bring that, you know, cut off point back to 0. Anyway, peace, love, and touch controllers. Thanks for checking this out. If you've got any questions, just leave them below. But yeah, thanks for checking this out. Bye now.